Hi, Shelly.
Hey, Homakaniel, how's it going?
Homakani. I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Well, I made a movie last night. Other than that, I'm okay. I'm a little, staring at the editing screen for too long can make you kind of blind, I've learned. Hey, everyone, it's really great to be here. This is our first virtual Nisenan Heritage Day. And boy, it's quite different. We have no tacos, we have no dancers, we have no public, we have no artisans, no presenters, and no speakers. So very different from our normal.
What's going to happen?
What are we going to do? We can talk about the movie I made last night. But welcome, Homakani, Homoya Bemi, Nisenan and Miwakamni, Lidum Lily Yapimni, Daspa Hedidi, Daspa, that's right. So welcome to, wow, what is this, our 12th Nisenan Heritage Day. Hello to all my family and tribal members out there. Thank you so much for clicking on the link and being here with me and with Ember as we sit here in this very strange Nisenan Heritage Day moment together. This year, we are pairing Nisenan Heritage Day with a fundraiser. And I suppose that's because our annual fundraiser, our harvest dinner, we decided to cancel because at the moment we didn't feel that it was responsible to serve family-style food under COVID circumstances. And
smoky air outside.
And smoky air outside, right. So I can't say that CHIRP is behind on the fundraising. CHIRP is way behind on fundraising because of the circumstances. And while I know we've talked in the past about not having Heritage Day as a fundraiser because it feels good to be a sharing moment, to be a community and a cultural education moment, where we can really show up, meet the community, and have the community see our beautiful Nisenan culture that's been so invisible for so long. But given the circumstances, this year we have decided to pair it with a fundraiser. And I have all the permissions, so I'm not in trouble for doing that. The tribe said it's okay. So, but yeah, we've got, it's also, we did a virtual event. When was that? Last year?
Last year? In September last year.
Here at the center. It was very successful. That was a fundraiser. And so we've done something similar before. It was very different than what we're going to do tonight. I think there are some really important moments happening in the world, in our country today, that it strangely enough has really opened the lid on our conversation, on our erased history. And now is the moment where people are listening. And so I've really been deep. I'm not even kidding that I actually made it. It's not a movie, like Hollywood style movie, but I am Allie Galaxy, and she filmed, and I put it all together. But it really is about the exhibit we have up at Ubaseu, which is our gallery in Nevada City. And putting together that exhibit, I will tell you what, I know our history. I know the kind of heart-wrenching, horrible things that happened to the tribe and why 98% of the people are gone. I know these things, but going in and putting up an exhibit and doing the research that was necessary for that and having to read just the horrible, horrible things that people just printed on the front page of newspapers. So obviously it was like common enough to be on the front page of a newspaper.
I saw the impact on you, Shelly.
Did you really?
Yes. Being in the office together and you being in day after day of research for that exhibit, I felt like I witnessed you in spaces that I don't witness you in ever or very often,
Kicking and
at
screaming
least.
and crying.
Just a heaviness,
really.
just a felt heaviness.
Well, it just is what it is. There are very few shining lights in that conversation. It's all really, really, really dark, even darker than I knew. And so just, and being older now and going through this history, and trying to get it up on the walls to look pretty and consolidate it into, card size little bites of things that people can read as they come through. Really, no, it's super challenging, really super challenging. And, but now is the moment. It really is. I think this is a generational fight for our federal recognition to have it restored after we were illegally terminated in 1964. It's so absurd, you all. It's so absurd. It's even more absurd than I used to think. And I used to always think it was absurd. It's so absurd that I hope you come to my virtual tour here. That's what my movie is. You guys will see it later. And you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. And we do talk about it pretty extensively now, I guess, Ember. Do I? I mean, I'm not... I hate to throw it all out there because it's such a sad topic that it doesn't matter what part of our history you talk about. It ends up being really sad. So I'm sorry, I'm totally just blabbing away here, but it's important. I have not realized so many of the cultural pieces that remain in our family and in our tribe. I am so shocked that any of us are even alive, A, and that any of us know anything because of this purposeful, over and over and over again, just this targeted trying to, erase the people from here. And so anyway, that's a lovely and light topic for the evening, right? But did you have anything you want to say as we welcome people tonight?
I'm really excited to get to be here, and even though, as you said, there's all these pieces that are crucial to share and for us all to carry together, and that a lot of those are heavy, that this is also a celebration and an honoring. And I'm just excited about that and knowing that it all can be held together, and we're doing that.
We're doing that. We're trying so hard. Welcome to our virtual evening. I want to say hi to, of course, my mom is out there in the audience, and my daughter, my family, and my cousins and my aunties, and all my tribal family that are not necessarily blood related, but you are also my family. And you guys have all been so sweet lately and supportive and just reaching out to me because I guess it was more obvious than I thought that everybody's been reaching out and just checking on me. And I don't know, I always feels like it's the other way around. I'm usually okay, that's why. And so I appreciate you all so much. And, one day, we're going to be able to resolve at least some of this trauma that still remains. And I think a lot of our community, you guys don't see the community as much as I do. And we have so much support now. Oh, I'm going to get all teary. We have so much more support. We have so much, we didn't ever have support before. So I wish you guys could just be in my body for a little while to see with your own eyes how people care. People I don't even know that reach out almost daily and are appreciating that we are sharing and that we're still here. And that they care. They're showing that with land acknowledgements and educating their staff. People are going, now that we have a website, thanks to Ember, they're going to our website and they're seeing our photos and they're learning about the tribe. And I know you guys don't get to see that like I do. But that part feels good. It doesn't feel like, it's all happening alone, I suppose.
Maybe you just need to sing it out, Shelley.
Maybe I sing it out. Should I sing? Is it time for me to sing? I don't have a watch. Is anybody watching the time? Does anybody know what time it is? Oh, there's a big old clock up there on the ceiling. All right. Well, that was perfect then. So with that in mind, it is protocol and it's traditional to welcome people to our homelands. And the reason behind that is if you're not welcomed somewhere, you can get sick. And this is the first song that I learned in our language. They say Nisenan language is extinct, yet I know a lot of my family still sing songs in no words. And so it is actually a sleeping language. And this is always proved in no better way than for me to sing when people hear me sing, because now we have witnesses and they can say, hey, that's not true, because I just heard that girl sing a song in her language. So, but I would love to sing. This song is to Estomyanim, which is our sacred mountain, which we now today know as the Marysville Buttes. And that, for us, is where all life comes from, where we go and we die, and then we go off to the Milky Way. And so this is a luck song. Eyuyu weanam, eyuyu weanam, eyuyu weanam, eyuyu weanam, eyuyu pineta estumyanim yamenan, leyuia, 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 eyuyu weanam, eyuyu weanam, eyuyu weanam, eyuyu weanam, eyuyu pineta estumyanim yamenan, leyuia, 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 eyuyu weanam, eyuyu weanam, eyuyu weanam, eyuyu weanam, eyuyu pineta estumyanim yamenan, leyuia, 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 eyuyu weanam, eyuyu weanam. Hui, 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 hui. Anybody out there, give me a hui, hui, hui. Awesome. All right. I think that's it. That's all I've got in me tonight. I almost got all froggy and like when I was little.
Thanks for sharing that, Shelley. I love every time I hear that song and just the way it can connect us to the land.
Yeah, it's serious. Like the first time I sang that song, I knew that that song had its own life and has its own work. It's not about me. It's just coming out of me, I guess. And I absolutely feel that. And I hope it's doing its work, because it's a hard work.
And it feels special because I've heard you say that one's okay for other people to sing. It's okay to share. It's okay. Yes.
No, not that one. That's the sacred one. You can sing. Oh, you're thinking of other one.
Wait, I guess I should get clear. Are you saying that song you just sang is not okay for other people to sing?
Yes, that is not. You have to get permission to sing that song. Oh. I had to get permission from every living person that I knew who was associated with that song in order to sing it in public. And I was allowed to.
But people singing along with you?
Oh, sure.
Okay, I guess that's what I meant.
Yeah,
for people that's a good distinction.
Yeah.
For people to, yes.
Yeah, because if you
not
sing
in public.
Right. Yeah. If you sing, there's like the original copyright. Those songs belong to people and families, and they're power songs, and they're poisoning songs, and they're luck songs, and all of these very, very personal things. And you, especially in the gambling, the hand games, everybody's got a power song, and no one ever sings somebody else's song, because you can get sick and die, or kind of be disowned. The original copyright. Yes, so yeah, it's okay to sing along. It would never be a song that you should sing. That's good. I hardly ever say that anymore.
That's a good distinction, because I feel like we've talked a bit about singing it like at home, in the privacy of home.
Yes,
We're playing,
that's okay.
we have a recording of that on our YouTube channel, and I like to direct people to that to be able to hear. Like if I'm showing them Estomianim in the gallery, to be able to go and hear. So
Yes, and
thanks for sharing
and that's
that.
okay. And because I know some of my cousins' songs, I've heard them sing a lot that I would never assume to sing, because it's not mine. That's sort of different than the way America acts a lot today. Just an observation. So what do we have next? We do have a few films. I know that the last time we did this virtually, we were very film heavy. We were mostly doing recorded pieces. We do, for those of you who don't know, tonight for our fundraiser, we have again the amazing and wonderful Mamus. And I have purposely placed them toward the end of the evening because I know that this can be kind of boring sometimes, she and I. No, but really, thank you to, they're so amazing. They're so kind and so dedicated. There are so many kind of dedicated people who are going, how can we help you? And I think we're going to talk about that, like what CHIRP is up to. But thanks again to Mamus, all volunteer. Almost every one of our events, everything is volunteer and donated to CHIRP. And that's fantastic. So we're going to talk about the first video.
Yeah, this video is the Sierra Academy of Expeditionary Learning High School in Nevada City. The school paired up with CHIRP. They reached out to CHIRP actually to do a big project for their school, something they do annually. And as part of the project and the learning that they had in their classrooms, they put together this video that is really beautiful.
It's amazing.
I was so impressed when I saw it, and I hope that you get the same impact from it.
Yeah, thank you. I come from a very small tribe in Northern California. Gold was discovered in our waterways here in 1848, 1849. The tons of gold that was extracted from here that really created the state of California. But yet that story is the complete opposite for us. That's like where everything was lost. I mean, there was wealth, there was bounty, there was religion, art, and it was all completely based on the land and the animals and this perpetual motion of true sustainability that the Nisenan people had here in their landscape.
We acknowledge that these are ancestral homelands of the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan Tribe.
We acknowledge this land was taken repeatedly, with no compensation
or regard for the lives and ways of the original people until they had no land left.
We acknowledge we are settlers here.
That we are settlers here.
That we live,
love,
and work on land that the Nisenan never ceded.
That the Nisenan never ceded.
How does reading and hearing the land acknowledgement make you feel? What emotions come up?
Pretty angry, restless, and actually hopeful, because I feel like if we can acknowledge that, like, not only in our words but in our hearts, it's progress.
I think until we acknowledge what happened in the past, our world can't be inclusive.
We should give these events in the past more recognition than we did back then when they happened.
They make me feel heartbroken for the Nisenan people, because I know that the indigenous people, especially here, are really hurt, and they have a lot of generational trauma.
So generational trauma is when something traumatic happens to a group of people or sometimes just a person. In this case, it's Native Americans. The way they deal with their trauma is passed on to their kids and their kids' kids and so on and so forth.
And like as a Jewish woman, I definitely understand the effects of generational trauma and how it is with you all the time.
It is why a lot of times you will see in the Native community, a lot of people struggle with drugs and alcohol. It's because it is a lot of the time the way that they cope with their trauma that has been passed on to them for generations. The gold rush is, in this town and Nevada County in general, is seen as a really amazing thing because it is why our towns were founded. But if you ask any native from around here, they will tell you a very different story of genocide. When you fail to acknowledge this extremely traumatic thing like the gold rush, and how our town glorifies it. It is actively traumatizing people. And until we are inclusive and we understand that things like the gold rush were not amazing things, and we learn the real history behind it, people are always going to be on the outside and always going to be hurt.
Tens of thousands of people from all over the planet came into our homelands. And unfortunately for us, the impact was the worst. They say like 98% of the population was gone in the first 5 years.
It is really heartbreaking to know that we haven't done much to compensate for what we've done in the past. But it also gives me hope since we have been focusing so much in school.
And then Damien, thank you. It's important to use our privilege because the privilege was given to us by people who hurt others in the past. So though we may not be directly related to hurting those people, there's a moral responsibility to help those who were hurt in the past.
For our Better World Day project, we are partnering with the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan Tribe and CHIRP, which is an organization helping the Nisenan in their journey with federal recognition.
I'm the spokesperson for the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan Tribe. I'm also the executive director of our nonprofit CHIRP, which is the California Heritage Indigenous Research Project.
CHIRP is the organization that helps support the preservation, protection, and perpetuation of the Nisenan people and their culture into the future, while advocating for the restoration of the Nevada City Rancheria's federal recognition.
Originally, our Better World Day project was to launch a letter writing campaign for the tribe to obtain federal recognition.
And I'm going to turn it over to Shelly to give us a little talk more about the Nisenan and about their campaign for federal recognition.
What federal recognition would do, like if you guys had a magic wand and you hit me with it right now and ta-da, we are federally recognized, the government would pay the tribe to assist in building the government again, so that we can take care of ourselves and our people. And we would have access to all the federal Indian programs: housing, health, education, economic development.
But a month into the project, we were asked to halt.
Shelly got some advice pointing out that the representatives, the people we'd be writing to, really dislike it when there's letter writing campaigns without active legislation. So we were asked to pause until CHIRP decides what the next steps will be, in which case I know the school is going to write letters as soon as they tell us we can.
So I think in pausing a letter writing campaign, I think what's beautiful is that it's complicated. So of course, I don't want us to ever stand in the way of what progress could happen, but when we are taking the lead from the local Nisenan folks, then we need to take their lead. And so they let us know, hey, could you please pause? So when I think about what is my role? It's like my role as a listener, my role as an amplifier, my role is to make sure that I'm considering what I can do to be of service and be of help and not center myself.
But yeah, I want us to keep this excitement going. And, if us having to stop the campaign bummed you out at all, I know how you feel.
But as we were asked to halt, we were thinking, what's a way we can still help without interfering with what they need?
For my Better World Day project, I used what little knowledge I had of writing music to put together some chords that I thought somewhat well represented my feelings on the whole Nisenan tribe situation right now. Here's what I came up with.
There was another project, which was an art project. It was not to create artwork about the Nisenan people or their culture, because we did not want to culturally appropriate them, because we do not know enough about them and it is not our stories to tell. So the art project was, however, to do an art piece about how you feel about the fact that you live on stolen land.
And I think that art project went really well. And until the letter writing campaign is relaunched, which hopefully at some point it will be, we will continue working with the Nisenan tribe to spread the word and make sure that they don't go extinct.
You're absolutely on the right path. There's no book. There's no 101 terminated tribal re-recognition book somewhere. So what I do is I go forward until I hit a wall, and then I go, well, that wasn't the right way, and then I go another way.
Well, I've really appreciated that this project is about making sure that the land acknowledgement not only happens once, but becomes a part of what we do as a crew here regularly. So I see it in things like our board meeting tonight, our graduation, our other ceremonies, and other times where we're welcoming folks to campus to just be a part of raising awareness.
This kind of work is long work. It's a long work, decades, generations for our family with the tribal issues. My grandpa was doing it, and then my mom, and now it's me, and I refuse to pass this on to my daughter. I refuse. So I just believe that the student voice can never be underestimated.
And when you see injustice and when you hear injustice, I have seen the most amazing advocacy, allyship, passion, and concern and support for self and others. And I'm just inspired by that.
I want to challenge anyone who watches this video to do research about the people who live in the town or city that you live in. See if they have any organizations that are trying to help them, and advocate for them, but listen to them and help in any way you can that they want you to, right? Don't overshadow them, but research them.
And what I would love and appreciate is for people to understand that these injustices are still here for Native people. They have not been resolved. This story is not uncommon. Wherever you are geographically, there were people there, and some kind of extractive industry and people moving because they needed land and wanted land. Those original people, something happened to them. And
it's worthy in 2021 for us all, I don't care, all of us, me included, to open our eyes to those facts.
We acknowledge that these are ancestral homelands.
The Nevada City Rancheria
Nisenan Tribe.
And as far as us personally, every time someone says the word Nisenan, whether you know an ounce of history or not, you're unerasing us.
These people are seeking a life. Internationally, they should be able to seek asylum, and most countries honor that. The United States, the last several years, was not honoring that.
We have been here for thousands of years. That there's a relationship with the land just as much as the relationship with one another.
We have gotten to a point in our history where only what happens close to us somehow matters.
Awesome. So you can see what we were talking about with those high school students. I know people mean well, but boy, oh boy, sometimes, I say this with all humility and respect, but help isn't help. Like when I end up helping somebody to help me more than if I could have done something on my own. And these high school students, I mean, you heard everything that they said. They're just, man, I wish I had been like that when I was in high school. I mean, they're so young and they're so amazingly wise and knowledgeable and just ready to do, like she was saying, they listen, they research, they take the cues from the tribe, which is so incredibly important. We navigate that a lot with our visibility through art project. We get into some very, the cliffs are right there on both sides, like cultural appropriation and, it's an incredibly important conversation. And we're so lucky that they are who they are. And they have great teachers. And then the other trailer, the little mini trailer, we've got our friends out there in the audience. So, woo, yeah. Hey. Did you hear that? Our big audience out there. We included that trailer because, I have to, after so much of seeing me on I just get so sick of myself, you guys. I'm sick of my voice. I'm sick of my face.
We're going to make you a theme song. We have to.
A dummy of me that just like has a tape deck in it and a tape deck. That's how old I am. Press play, and let it do its thing. But it's the recognition, it's the visibility, and folks reaching out to us. We're not usually the ones reaching out going, hey, can you do a video of us? It's just not what we do. And so we're really lucky that we have skilled, knowledgeable people like this, making films that center the voice and the need of our tribe. And I say it all the time, like it looks like the Shelley Show, and I promise there's an entire tribe that I represent. And I'm willing and I'm okay to be the one out front, but I do honestly get sick of seeing myself. It's like, oh, there she is again, But my hair looked really good and the lighting was amazing. So thank you for that. Some of the people that say when your hair is sticking up, can I fix your hair for you? And you're like, please, yes, thank you. But just very professional. And I appreciate your, I was saying this earlier, your skills in interviewing. Obviously, you know the person you're interviewing, and it really showed in the questions that you were asking. And it's just really fantastic. We're very lucky to be working with such amazing people. So that film's going to be coming out, so I hope everybody's watching for it. I love the name. It's great.
Yeah, and that 25-minute trailer is soon.
Soon.
So end of December. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that was
we'll be
literally
making sure
a
to share
teaser,
that.
right? teaser. All right, Ember. So in our next section here, we've got a little chunk of talking. I want to update. As, you know, I was just going to say, because this isn't fun, like normal Nisenan Heritage Day is fun. But it's true. I do feel like there's so much work that happens that honestly, it's hard to keep up right now. There is so much going on. There's so much possibility. One of the things that I've recently realized, I was talking with my mom about this the other night. When people say, well, what's the vision for the tribe? I go, you know, we don't talk about our wishes and our visions. We talk about the struggle, like we need recognition. And that's, I think, where most of the energy goes is to that topic. And then just trying to be in community here with the people who are listening. Like there for a few years, I just showed, somebody said, Shelly, you wanna? And I'm like, absolutely. And I showed up because I want people to know. And I think we're expanding our visibility in a way that doesn't always happen as much as I wish it could anymore. But there is so much work going on. The tribe has a vision, and I just don't think I knew how to clarify it in the way that people understand when they're saying, what's the vision of the tribe? Like what they were asking. And as we we're learning to navigate CHIRP better as well. Like we're green at everything we do until we, like I said in that other video, till I bash my face into the wall enough times to go, whoa, I guess that's not the right way to go. I think my hands are in so many pots. And if I didn't have Ember, like I have a staff now. You guys know how many years I was saying, just give me a staff and watch me go. And then I have our gallery. I shouldn't call them gallery girls, but our gallery staff, our artist, Mira Clark. And we have Lindsay also helping us with strategic planning. And I didn't want to pull her away from her music because I'm like, I don't know what she does like as a job. Like I want to honor her for her music, and that's all I knew. And then I found out she did strategic planning. I was like, whoa, I've been talking about that forever. And Ruth Chase, Mira Clark, Lindsay, is that all? That's it. That's
Iona?
our staff. Iona, yeah, I was going to mention her. She's this is my intern. We have two people interning with CHIRP right now, in very different. Different worlds, kind of. And so there is so much work being done. There are so many needs for the funds that we're raising. Beyond, I know in every grant application I've ever written for, it's like not sexy to say you need staff or you need to pay the lights or whatever, they want to fund projects. And, we need funding for a lot of really amazing things. And until we know the ask, until we ask it, and the people are allowed to hear our ask, no one's ever going to say yes and give us what we want. So, other than the federal government and the whole recognition topic, that doesn't count. So let's talk about a few things. My ultimate favorite was created by a bunch of friends. That's how I see them. And that's the Ancestral Homelands Reciprocity Program. And I know the girls were talking about it, and it's loosely based on the Shumi land tax. And my mom was like, that's nice. Why would people want to give us money and don't use the word tax? So there was definitely some very strong guidelines from the tribe because they don't want to be seen as a charity case. They just don't want to. And so it's CHIRP's job to kind of step in the middle and be the filling in the Oreo, if you will, I guess. So ARP has Ancestral Homelands Reciprocity Program. It has my heart because it was created and there was a lot of front end work, and it just sort of, I mean, I know it doesn't float along on its own, that there's backroom, like, accounting. I know there's things that happen, but it doesn't. It floats. It's just
well, and I mean, I'd shape that maybe slightly differently, in that not floating along on its own, but that it is that community-driven initiative, and that's the part that I like. It's my heart that there hasn't been a significant amount of effort put in by CHIRP once the boat went sailing, because there just wasn't the capacity to keep the focus there. Right. But to see what happens is that people who are participants in the program, that they're amplifying it, they're giving it visibility, they're keeping life going in it, and to see it continue to sail without our input as much. And I think that's probably what you're getting at.
Yeah, that is what I'm getting at. And it reminds me of, I mean, this entire conversation, that we know people and people are knowing about us. Even to hear the word Nisenan 10 years ago was absolutely not heard. The first time I heard somebody say it outside of my tribal group was a little kid, like the row over from me in the grocery store, and his mom said something Maidu, and he said, no, Mom, Nisenan, and went on to tell her about the Nisenan, and I was standing in the frozen food aisle crying because it was so unknown. So if I got to remember to look back, just how I was looking back when we did this exhibit, I was looking back, if you start feeling down on how we are no good with our social justice and how rotten and unfair the world is right now, I invite you to spend a week or two reading those old newspapers. We've come far. I know, and that also is long, long work, and we've got to make sure we're keeping the temperature every once in a while to see where we've come from, to make sure that we're progressing and being better humans, maybe. But the Ancestral Homelands Reciprocity Program, it's just like the Nisenan conversation. It started with a very few people. My friend and CHIRP's founder, Judith Lowry, for so long, she was the only person who knew about us, who saw it as absolutely unacceptable, that we were not seen at all, totally invisible. And she's Mountain Mighty in Pit River, and she's an artist, and she's like, that's not okay, And she was literally the only person. And I know we've come a long way. And it's not people's fault. I don't like to point and blame at people, because if you don't know, you don't know what you don't know. And so, ARP starting with just a few. I remember Amy, who's now living in France, a few people sitting at the table and really working this project of love and caring. Listening to all the things, I'm like, oh, you can't say that. Oh, don't say it that way. No, you can't do that. You can't do that.
It took so long just to come up with the name of the program. That was a big deal.
It was. And now, people, somebody was emailing today that was like, oh, I'm from so-and-so. And, it's a good thing we're sitting far apart. I grew up in Nevada County and I didn't know, and how can I assist? That did not happen 10 years ago. And so it just feels amazing. It's incredible. It's allowing us to do the work that we need to do. What do you think?
Absolutely. And even in the short time that I've been connected with CHIRP, Shelley, feeling the vast changes that have happened and are continuing to happen, both in terms of CHIRP's growth. Well, I guess they're related. I was going to say in terms of CHIRP's growth, and also in terms of the continuation of more and more being shared. And I guess those two really are linked, though, because the more the tribe sees that the community is responding in a supportive way, and in a receptive way, that then it feels safer to continue to have those things be shared out into the world. So things like the Ancestral Homelands Reciprocity Program, where, there was I'm going to use the word fear. I don't know if that's it or not, but there was definitely emotion around, is this okay to do? How are people going to respond to this? Same when the land acknowledgement came along. I don't know. How are people going to respond to this?
I still hate that thing.
Right. It's too scary. And then to see that these things go out into the world, and that they are being received, and they're being supported, and they're being amplified by others, and that there's cheering on even, and then that allows that work to continue. And yeah.
Well, and again, not to keep kicking this bucket, but in all that research, I know from my own family how they feel and why they feel the things they do. I knew in my limited family tribal way, but to see it written over and over again, like shoot on sight, if you're loitering, my cousins and I still joke around, like, you're not loitering, are you? Like, if you were just standing there, you were arrested and sold to anybody who could pay for like 15 years. And this is post-abolition. Maybe it's just I'm reading it with an fairly adult mind anyway, and just getting it on such a bigger level, and how that impacted me. Here we go. Thinking about, pairing that with my family stories and the stories that my cousins and it's all the same story, unfortunately, and it is sad. It's sad, and I hate to bang on the sad gong, but if there was another gong in this conversation, I would happily welcome that, because I'm not that type of person. I don't like to be like, you're just feeling sorry for yourself or whatever. But it's so atrocious, and the things that were done are so twisted. It's not just like, I can't even say, it's not just like, oh, you're in my way, so I shot you. I told you to move, and you didn't. It's like this twisted, violent, deranged, it's gross, and most of the time it involves children. And so then I'm just like, it's just really dark. And we don't know these stories. As a country, it's not talked about. When half of our stuff around here is named after John Sutter, and then you find out what kind of person he is. It's the same thing with Columbus Day, is like, what? I'm not about taking people's holidays from them, or, but then a girlfriend of mine said, well, the Italians, if we were going to honor somebody else, it wouldn't have been him. So whatever, I'm always looking for the humor, but the things he did, beyond disgusting. And for me, that's not okay, especially if children are involved. And we've got our kids wrapped up in all this stuff. And it's strange, folks. It's strange. I can't any longer, I guess, find the excuses that work. I just don't understand it. And that doesn't mean that that's the same fact for anybody else in the country, But if there's a deranged killer loose with the children, like, that's where I got to draw my line, And let's not perpetuate that as like, oh, yay, because there's no yay there. There's none. And, that's why this stuff makes me happy, because we're not asking necessarily like, hi, can you help me? It's this, I don't know, it's like if we all do it as a community together, it is more safe. And that is always the thing, is the fear. My mom always said, hi, Mom. Sorry. Oh, God, I forgot she was on there. We're not trying to make any enemies. like we're not trying to make any enemies. We're always, I mean, they grew up, all of us have been born and raised here forever. And we love our community. All gone to school here, all have very, very, very old friends with a lot of the old settling families and stuff. And, that's one of her main slogans, I guess, if you will. We're not trying to make any enemies. So we always try to step with a soft foot. And, that leads us into some of these other conversations. There are other larger tribes in more urban areas, too, I think. And they're like this land back. Like the first time I saw that they were doing that, I was like, no way, they can't do that. They just can't ask, like, for people to give the land back. Can they? Yeah, they can. And guess what's happening? It's incredible. So that goes with knowing what you're asking is like, what are you asking for? You need to ask for it. And this land back conversation has been pretty incredible. Did you want to add anything in on that?
Yeah, the organization that pops into my mind is the Sagorate Land Trust, which is in the Bay Area. It's a Ohlone-run organization. And you mentioned earlier with Ancestral Homelands Reciprocity Program that's based on the Shumi land tax, which is part of Sagorate. And I know there are other models out there and other organizations and tribes working on land back efforts. And I've appreciated, being here in Nisenan territory and having a tribe that's not so far off that is providing this model, this path, for wherever maybe that organization has a greater capacity than CHIRP does right now in this moment, and so is just like creating models that are beautiful to be able to see in order to add to wherever it feels possible to also move along that path.
Well, yeah, and thinking that somebody else already thought up some really great ideas, that we don't have to recreate every single wheel, which I feel like we do most of the time, and to see the way that they're modeling, and counties and cities are paying their voluntary taxes to these tribal organizations, and it's incredible, and it's totally inspiring to me, and I'm surprised. And once the model's there, then we don't have to. There's still that fear of like, well, we're not going to go just knock on the county's door and be like, "Hi, can you just give us free money?" Because without them saying everything that they say so well, the Ohlone folks and everything that they do in the protecting their sacred sites. It would be so much scarier. So starting ARP in the way that we did, small, nobody knew about it, and to watch it grow and to have this ask that I keep trying to form. I want asks for every single section of the vision, which has it's a many-faceted thing, because what we're really doing is running a country. Even though we're not like in a drawn area that's like, oh, that's your reservation, or, we're all still here in our homelands. We haven't left, we haven't been removed. And I'm not dead, but, I didn't also know how rare that was until I started getting out of Grass Valley every once in a while and going and meeting other tribes. Like, I just didn't know. And one of the things is, like, I've had this strange relationship with the number zero. This is kind of a rant, I'm sorry. But with the number zero. Because if it's $50, yeah, yay. 500, I'm like, ooh, 5,000, I start getting nervous and itchy. And if you start talking about 50,000 or 500,000, I'm just, that's not even for us. Like, I've never even written for a grant, like big grants, I don't even know why, because of that zero. And then I realized one day, like, a zero has no value. And then I was like, whoa, isn't that weird? Like, the universe is so strange. And so I've been trying to resolve that, because one of the wishes on here is land and housing. And we don't have federal monies that recognized tribes get. So how do we make that happen? And I look at land developers, and I look at there's people out there in the world that make these kind of things work. And I'm like, well, we can figure out a way. We have to. I don't want more of our elders passing away. without having, a house that like works and doesn't leak and has heat and all that kind of stuff. And those asks, those are all going to take money. Facility building. We should have a museum here in this town, Grass Valley. Maybe we could make them fight, like have Nevada City and Grass Valley, like we could put it right on the edge and then like, who likes us better or something like that. I don't know. But we should have these things. When you start talking about tribal tourism, it is incredible the amount of money that is brought in from other countries. It's like not even recycling your current tourists. You're getting people like they have all these kind of. I went down that rabbit hole big time. But funding for facilities. For right now, we have our gallery space in Nevada City, 225 Broad Street, in the Oddfellows Lodge, downstairs. And it says Ustama right in the sidewalk. And that is the Nisenan name for Nevada City before Nevada City was on top of it. and then we ended up there. I know Judith always mentioned it. So when it sat open, I was like, oh, and made the move. I did my ask, which I don't do. I think I sounded a little bit like a used car salesman. I'm really sorry about that.
That was a big moment.
It was a big moment. I was just like, we need this. This is how much money we have. Can you do that? And the answer was yes. So, but we're in a leased space there. Someday we need to have our own building, our own facility. We have 32 acres on Deer Creek because of the Sierra Fund and like Nevada City's choice in things. We just happen to be at the right place at the right time. And Steve Enos and the Galoli family. And it's just sitting there, we're doing remediation and things out there, but I know what the tribe wants. My mom, again, I keep talking about mom. I know she's looking at me. She wants one of those little 4-wheel drive tractor things because the land you can't drive around it, and that is literally one of the asks. I wrote for a grant to Polaris and we didn't get it because they want to fund more sports oriented folks. I was like, we could come up with an elders team or something. But those are the kind of things, I think they're really practical. I don't think they're like outlandish or anything. But the permanence, a place of permanence, that kind of capital funding scares me. And I think the biggest ask right now is that it's come to our attention that it would be very beneficial for us to own a piece of the old reservation. And we've had, there's so much synchronicity that goes on. So many people have been reaching out about different things. What about this land, Shelley? What about that? And there are actually 2 parcels for sale up there right now it took us a while to figure, with those old maps, to figure out where those borders were. Variable Land Trust helped us with that. I asked Aaron, if we gave you those weird north numbers and something else, could you help us find the corners? And they did. So anyway, we've identified these 2 pieces of land. It's for sale right now. I probably shouldn't say that out loud. Aren't you supposed to not tell people that kind of stuff? But I wish I was one of those just get up in the morning and where am I going today? What am I going to do? 'Cause I'm not like that. But we probably should get on that ASAP. And there are 4 houses.
What's the benefit there, Shelley?
So in the recognition process, because we're a terminated California Rancheria, we should just be restored. There shouldn't be, one A, B, C, D, E, F, G, hyphen dot 4.07 on and on out 6 miles. 2, it should just be
how do you spell your name? Oh, here's where we put you on the list.
Yeah. Between the Navajo and the Nez Perce, right? So, no, but there's the other tribes who were terminated congressionally have been restored in California. There are 3 that were congressionally terminated that have not, and we're one of the 3. They already proved it's illegal. It was a bad thing, blah, blah, blah. And we should just be restored. But aside from the shoulds, owning, there's a question they ask, do you own a piece of your original trust land? And right now we say no. And if we had a piece of land up there, then we would say, why, yes, we do.
And the trust land being?
The trust land being that that was the old reservation. So we were, Nevada City Rancheria was recognized by Presidential Executive Order Woodrow Wilson in 1913, and that piece of land up there, started out 76 acres, was taken into federal trust. So it's supposed to be a domestic sovereign nation. Domestic because it's sitting inside of the United States, but sovereign. You know, I mean, this conversation is just like all the other conversations in that Exhibit L. And especially when you see all the stuff up in that exhibit on the wall, it gets just so ridiculous that I sort of did lose a tiny bit of hope in the American system for a little while, and I'm not like that. I'm totally into justice, and I want this country, you know, to be like the land of, what is it? What is it supposed to be?
Home of the free, land of the brave.
Yeah, I want to be proud, and I want to be confident that when decisions are made, they're just. It should be fair. That's the kind of person I am, probably to a fault sometimes. The things I could bend if that was me, but it's just, I didn't bend tribal membership for my own grandmother to get in the tribe. I mean, who would have known? Nobody. Me. It drives me crazy. It's just, I think that coming off of Black Lives Matter and the social justice movements and the fight for equality, the continued fight for equality in this country, that we're in a great space. So that we should have all the questions, if they're possible, if they're gonna ask us if we have trust land, we should be able to say, why, yes, we do. So, it feels like part of the game. It all feels like a game. When my only concern is the tribe and the land. I mean, my mom still feels, because we come from a leader family, like responsible for this entire community. Can you believe that? Like, she feels like she should be able to go out and help people more when they need it. And I'm like, Mom. Hi, Mom. Mom, I mean, I can't even say that's not her problem, because it's all of our problems.
I mean, and I would say, Shelley, working so closely with you, that I experienced that in you as well. Just the way that you might caretake, or like even with creating the Ubaseyu, the current exhibit Erased, where it felt really important to you to share the truth on the tribe's behalf, and that to be what the tribe says yes to. But then there was also this layer of community caretaking of, is this going to be okay? Will people be okay? How will they react? What will that be? So I'm not so surprised to hear that about your mom.
It's not responsible to put possibly harmful and painful things up for the unprepared person to just accidentally walk upon. I mean, I feel like that's what humans should be aware of.
I appreciate that thoughtfulness and care given, and I get that importance. And I guess there's a part of me that wishes that anybody who might come across anything that's shared by CHIRP or the tribe, that perhaps if they encounter it and it's something new for them and they don't understand, and then maybe have some fear around what does that mean, I wish that everybody could feel that thoughtfulness that actually goes into it, that not only is there not a desire to just turn the script or to take or to hurt, that it's quite the opposite.
Well, absolutely. This is our country. Our country. All of us together. And like I always say, until the day the alien ships land and start eating on our faces, that's finally when we'll be like, oh my gosh, we're all human and they're not. And yikes, we should get together and help each other. I hope it doesn't take that. We're ready for, okay, this is time already? So you're going to see my movie and you're going to hear a whole earload and an eye load of what I've been talking about all night. You'll hear it all for yourself right now. Thank you to Alley Galaxy for such thoughtful camera work. It took her a long time, and we invited her to drinks and everything, said, oh, she'll be done, come on over. And then we ate and came back and she was still there. And I see why. It's just, so this is my virtual Ubaseu gallery tour of our exhibit, Erased. So here it is.
Hamakani, Hamaya Bemi, Nishanana Mimi Wakamni, Lidam Lily Yapimni, Ustama Hedidi. Hello, I'm Shelley Covert. I'm the spokesperson for the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan Tribe. I'm also the executive director of CHIRP, which is the California Heritage Indigenous Research Project. And that is the nonprofit that supports the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan Tribe. Our mission is to preserve, protect, and perpetuate Nisenan culture. And the space that we're in today is Ubaseu, which is the original Nisenan word for Yuba River. We are standing in the middle of our newest exhibit, which is Erased. Gold was discovered in Nisenan territory and Nisenan waterways. Our culture has just been completely erased. Only about 2% of the Nisenan people actually survived the genocide against the California Indians here. And that history is not really known to a lot of people. That's what this exhibit really brings forward. This is specifically talking about Nisenan territory in Northern California, the extraction of gold, the extraction of fur, any natural resource that was available here, and its quick and speedy export to other countries, and it resulted in the erasure of our people. A piece for me that is very important is not only does it bring it really into one room where we can see it all collectively, but we are the descendants of that 2% of the population that survived. And strangely, we're the ones that are educating folks. We're the ones that are educating our community that this history be told, that this history be taught in our schools, that it be included in our landscape here, our homelands that were this was our place for thousands and thousands of years. It talks about the gold rush, the disappearance of the Nisenan people through paid genocide campaigns against the people. It talks about the boarding schools. It talks about the legislation that prohibited voting, citizenship. It's all here. Yeah, I hope, this virtual tour that you're going to be seeing really lights something in you, because it is our history. It's a collective history. It may have happened to our people, but today in this country, it is our history. So I hope you enjoy. So here behind me is the timeline. And on this side, you'll see when we zoom in, it's really the tribal perspective of time, which it wasn't until I was actually putting the timeline together that I realized I'm trying to squish like thousands of years of culture and history into, this little tiny chunk of time, which is what we're all living in now. And this is an ancient culture. So we speak of time immemorial. There's a time before humans were here when it was just the animals here. And the animals are always our teachers. From them we learn, like from the bear, we learn how to mother. And our protection and our territorial instincts really are from these animals. Humans are always the dumb ones. Humans are always the ones who are not prepared to live in nature. And we don't have claws, we don't have our meat-tearing fangs, we don't have fur, we don't have great eyesight like the hawk, or hearing, or the smell that animals do. So the animals are the ancient ones, and then there's this time before time when none of this was here. So it was really difficult for me to try to squish all that in a timeline when it's beyond time itself. So there's the perspective of the tribe. What we have here, these countless generations, we always consider the seventh generation or the unborn generations. And that's, I got that from my grandpa, and including people in the decisions that are made. If it's going to harm someone, what is it going to change? What's our impact going to be? And a lot of times the answer was just, if it's going to harm somebody, you just don't do it, period. And these things you will see are those moments that truly impacted the tribe so heavily after these thousands of generations of stability. And I've been calling it perpetual motion with nature. True sustainability. And humans are not at the top of that ladder. Our grizzlies are no longer here, our condor, the salmon, the great panthers that really shape this landscape, the huge herds of elk and antelope. We look at our forests now and they're in such dire need, but we had huge herds that sometimes took a day to pass by that, how they do, they eat as they go. Their impact on tending the forest and being stewards of the land is absolutely, I think it's hard to measure that. It's just humans now. So, but you'll see things like the Donner Party, things like the termination of our tribe. You'll see of course, the discovery of gold in Nisenan waterways and how that impacted and changed our culture. And I guess my desire with all of these things is to, as we zoom in, and you can read these things for yourself, imagine if you were the people who all of these things were happening to. And there's a 98% success of genocide in Northern California and in many parts of California where people were paid for the extermination of the red race, And if you could just imagine that happening to you, and I'm a descendant of that 2% survivors, and just read these things, if you can, with an open heart, and imagine that we're still here. This isn't a fight of the past. This is a fight that's still happening now. And that I'm in any shape to be the one educating people. I always laugh because I'm like, if it's me, geez, poor people. But and here we are, we're still here, and yet we're able to share this perspective of how we're living today. And let's take a look at ourselves and this inclusive history that's so very important. And, there's a little justice to be served still, awaiting when's that going to happen for us? When's somebody going to say, you're right, that all is really terrible. Here, let's federally recognize you, give your recognition back that was taken so illegally, you'll see here in 1964. So please read it with an open heart, put yourself in our shoes, and what can we do to, make some change? All right, so. Time immemorial. The Nisenan concept of time is different from ours today. It recognizes vast arcs of existence and worlds before the creation of humans. Animals are older. They were here long before us and are better equipped for life in nature. Modern science states Nisenan existence here back at least 13,000 years, but our creation stories recognize a much, much older time, a time beyond time itself. Nature greater than everything. Nature, Earth. A tribe's culture is intertwined with the geography of their homelands. Their art, clothing, regalia, food, contempai represent the native plant and animal species around them. Despite being a peaceful and non-warring tribe, the Nisenan levy severe consequences for any action that threatens to upset the delicate balance between the Indian and nature. Grandchildren of our grandchildren's grandchildren. Tradition and protocol thoughtfully evolve over thousands of years. Experience gained through trial and error add to the community's knowledge base as each generation molds themselves to the earth. Longevity, order, balance, stability. The well-being of those yet to be born factors into all tribal decisions. Sustainable existence is dependent on both generations before and after. Affluence and diversity. Conservatively, more than 300,000 indigenous people with linguistically and culturally distinct tribal societies exist throughout the entirety of what will eventually become the state of California. In Nisenan territory, the people were wealthy not only because of the great bounty provided from nature, but the tribe's ability to navigate a sustainable lifestyle within the natural order. The land and its people. Over thousands of years, the Nisenan explored ways to perfect their connection with this land and its many beings. Nearly all of this experience, sophistication, and symbiotic evolution with nature was violently disappeared under the weight of colonialism, forced assimilation, religious conversion, enslavement, environmental obliteration, and genocide. The fall of the ancient. Savage brutality accompanies the northward advancement and invasion of this hemisphere. Hence fall the ancient civilizations of the Mayan, Inca, and Aztec. Anahuac is overthrown and will eventually become known as Mexico. 1819, funded erasure. Congress passes the Civilization Fund Act. These funds are provided to Christian-run benevolent societies as annuities to stimulate the civilization process. 1806 to 1830, fur exploitation. Populations of sea otters, river otters, beaver, mink, and others experience a total population collapse during the years of the fur rush. Some have never recovered. 1846 and 47, cannibalized. Luis and Salvador are two Indian boys sent to find and help the Donner Party after they were stranded on the Sierra Pass. The two boys are skilled scouts, and they were shot down and consumed by William Foster, who later founded Foster's Bar, which is now under Bullard's Bar Dam. 1848, discovery in Nisenan waterways. The soft but heavy metal has always been in these waters. The elders say it makes a good slingshot rock and fishing net weight. It is also said that it can make you sick. The tribes whose ancestral homelands are within gold country experience the brunt of the destruction. There is no law, no one to stand in the way of depravity put upon the Indians, animals, and land. There is no one to enforce even the most basic ethical, moral, or kind act. (1849) and the extermination of the red race. The first governor of California calls for the extermination of the Native Americans, and funded by the federal government, the state of California pays bounties for native body parts. Governor Burnett is a slave owner, a Chinese Exclusion Act enthusiast. He signed into law the Indian Protection Act. He's a failed merchant from Missouri, heavily in debt, failed agricultural endeavors in Oregon, and the author of Burnett's Lash Law. You really should check that one out. 1850, Protection of the Indians. The first session of California State Legislature signs this act legalizing forced servitude of California Indians. Further, it promotes racism, violence, and legal disempowerment, robbing the Indians of any legal authority to defend themselves, their land, possessions, or family. The 1851 unratified California treaties. The Nisenan signed the Camp Union Treaty near the Yuba River. In exchange for their land, its resources, and containment to a reservation, they will receive a 12 by 12 square mile tract of land near Penn Valley and Rough and Ready. On this reservation, they may live forever. But in a secret session of the Senate, they decide not to ratify the treaties, and instead they are hidden away until they were accidentally rediscovered in 1904. 1861 to 1865. Gold from our homelands fund the Civil War. The gold taken from unceded Indian territory shapes this country and the statehood of California. Further, its impact affects the outcome of the Mexican-American and Civil Wars. This fact has yet to be acknowledged by the state of California and the United States of America. And here's a quote from Ulysses S. Grant. "I do not know what we would do in this great national emergency were it not for the gold sent from California. Over $1.1 billion taken in 1864 alone was sent to support the Civil War." 1862, the Homestead Act. Here we have another presidential quote from Abraham Lincoln. "The act is worthy of consideration, and that the wild lands of the country should be distributed so that every man should have the means and opportunity of benefiting his condition." This was another way to get people to come west. The quote-unquote free Indian land. The people were removed from the land so that other men could have the land. 1860 to 1978. The stolen generations of the Indian boarding schools. Kill the Indian, save the man. The boarding schools were started on the bones of the Civilization Fund Act. It's said that if you know a Native person, either their parents or their grandparents were taken away and put in Indian boarding school. The numbers are staggering and the stories are just as horrible. 1887, the Dawes Act. The Dawes is another act that allowed for huge land openings for non-Native people to come and take communal Indian land. And in 1932, quote-unquote, whites owned 2/3 of the 138 million acres that was previously held by Native American tribes. Surviving the tides. Invaders, immigrants, emigrants, settlers. The native populations of California have survived in their homeland since time immemorial. Their land has been discovered over and over again. The indigenous people of the world fall to the brutal and cruel hands of invaders from around the planet. The land falls to extraction, overhunting, and unsustainable population. Things would be so amazingly different had newcomers been kind and sought peace instead of an authoritative rule. We believe we are democracy, but as long as we are destroying the very planet that gives us life, we will continue to repeat the past, and our lands will fall. This is the next section after the timeline, and this is land and legal illegalities. So we have a lot of the maps that are very important to show the continuous removal of the Native people. 287, actually that's attached to that Camp Union Treaty. And the Royce number is 287 for this area. We've also just started our own GIS mapping system, and we're getting it populated, and it's really, really exciting. There in the brown frame, that's our actual termination papers of when they terminated the reservation. And another map, and then there you can see Estumianim, which is our sacred mountain. And as we continue to look around this room here, I'll mention a few things that hadn't made it onto the timeline quite yet. In 1924, there was the Indian Citizenship Act, and this granted citizenship to all Indians born in the United States. I'm not sure where else Indians would be born, but that citizenship did not include the right to vote. Authority given to the states to determine whether Native people in their state can vote or not. And Utah was the last to allow Native to vote in 1962. Another thing that's not in the timeline yet is the 1934 Indian Reorganization Act. Tribes with federal recognition are given the opportunity to reorganize themselves under a more modern tribal council instead of traditional kinship systems. Tribes are given the right to operate tribal corporations, and that's in quotes, under their own management. And this act also created a modern constitution and governing structure. So here in Nisenan territory, we were absolutely led by kinship. You had to be of good character, you couldn't be greedy, you had to be a people person. Women could also be leaders. Women were called Mayan, and the men were called Hook. The 1934 Reorganization Act is what caused a lot of warring with some tribes between their traditional leadership and what some people call the BIA Indians, because they were sometimes these tribal councils were put in place by the Bureau of Indian Affairs themselves to gain access to the different resources that a given tribe has on their reservation land. In 1978, the American Indian Religious Freedom Act was passed. Prior to this act, it was illegal for an Indian to believe or perform any act of traditional religious rites, spiritual or cultural practice. 1978, not 1878, not 1778, 1978. The American Indian Religious Freedom Act provides the right to access sacred sites, the freedom to worship through traditional ceremonial rites, and allows the possession and use of objects traditionally considered sacred by their respective cultures. Also, another biggie in the Indian Act world, 1978, the Indian Child Welfare Act, also known as ICWA. ICWA shields American Indian youth from being removed from their families and tribes. Nearly 35% of all Native American children are being raised in adoptive homes, foster homes, and institutions. These non-Indian environments strip the children of their families and their cultural identities. In 2021, the number of Native children in foster homes remains high. Many see it as a continuation of the boarding schools, just with a different shape and name. And skipping around a bit on the timeline, 1913, federal recognition. Bill Rolfe Douglas, a founder of Laurel Parlor No. 6, Native Daughters of the Golden West, is an advocate for the local tribe. She is also part of the suffragette movement and politically connected. When Chief Charlie Cully passes away in 1913, Bell is instrumental in not only protecting Cully's Indian land allotment for the tribe's communal use, but getting the attention of President Woodrow Wilson. 75.5 acres of land are taken into trust, and the tribe is given federal recognition, creating the Nevada City Rancheria. 75.5 acres on Cement Hill, just outside of Nevada City. It is sovereign tribal land, and it is its own self-governing tribal government. And another little interesting fact, they deeded away a half acre of the reservation land for the building of the Nevada City Airport. So Belle Douglas is one of my heroines. And now we're into the back section, which is a pop-out that talks about the boarding schools. So this book you're looking at right now has a genealogy record. It's a census record that has my Grandpa Dutch and his siblings on it. He was 10 years old in this census, but he had been there for many years. The impact of the Indian boarding schools is still everlasting. It's that historical trauma that is passed down in Native families so often. It's one of the things that CHIRP is looking at, supporting the tribe to get different programs in place to identify what this historic trauma is and how it lives inside of us. How it lives inside of us, even the ones of us who think that, you know, we're floating okay. The depth, I guess, of the water, you know, that you're floating in, you don't always know what's down there. But the historical trauma from the abuse that happened at these boarding schools is lingering, certainly. My grandpa's brother died at Indian boarding school in Kansas, I believe, Haskell, and his body was never brought home. We know now that our new Secretary of the Interior, Deb Haaland, is looking into the boarding schools finally. She is the one who also started an investigation on the missing and murdered Indigenous women. The numbers of people who go missing from the Native American communities is so staggering. And I saw somebody say once that Natives are throwaway people. Like you don't even make the news. You know, and a lot of these boarding schools are a lot of the reservations are out in the middle of nowhere with these big, you know, national highways going right through the middle of them. And there's no one accountable. And the tribal councils and the tribal people are probably maxed out, poor, with no capacity. And what are they supposed to do? It's been very recent now that Indian tribal courts can persecute and prosecute for things like this that happen on tribal lands, which is pretty incredible given the circumstances. This wall we're looking at right now is the cultural side of the exhibit. And I hope it stands in contrast to show at least a little bit of what has been lost over and over and over again. As soon as something good happens, the rug is pulled out. And I don't even have all of the legislation and legal actions against Native people up in the exhibit. It was just too overwhelming. And the strange thing is that I know these things. That's how I was able to guide our team, you know, to try to get it out of my head and get it up on the walls. Because I really feel that none of us know about this history. We're not taught about it in schools. It's not common talk on the streets. And I always feel that nobody is to blame for this, especially if you don't know about it. So it was really my hope to get it, or at least a lot of it, up in one place where we can all see it. And then maybe we can talk about it together as a community. I think, you know, the Black Lives Matter and all these social justice movements that are happening today are paving the path that maybe these injustices can be seen for what they are, and that it's gone on so much longer than for everybody else, and it's never been addressed. I was telling somebody the other day that it feels like you're in a sci-fi movie like The Matrix or something, where you're the only one that has a memory of something and nobody else has any idea what you're talking about, or they think you're lying, or, you know, playing a fiddle and trying to feel sorry for yourself or something. But this is just the tip of the iceberg, this exhibit. I think we could probably do a single exhibit on every one of these things, you know. Every time we put an exhibit up, this could be the topic. It would get really sad after a while. It's a lot. It's just a lot to know about. And then it feels a lot of the times like nobody else knows. And by that not knowing, it feels like nobody else really cares. Or, you know, hey, why don't you guys get over it? It was so long ago. But it's ongoing. You know, for when the land was taken and those treaties were never ratified, I mean, that was just kind of the, you know, the topping on the cake or whatever. I can't believe that any of us are even still here to have this conversation. And we are, and we still have a lot of our culture left. We're not fully assimilated. Maybe we're just stubborn. But what matters most is, of course, our culture and our families, but this land and the animals and the trees and the water. And I know it sounds like cliche, like I'm a tree hugger and a feather-wearing native person or whatever, but it's the absolute truth. I think we're still here so that we can remind people that we're on a living planet that has likes and dislikes. And if you engage, you know, that's where the stories come from, like, oh, go talk to a tree, you know, if you need guidance or wisdom or something. You know, go sit in the river and let it take your cares away, because it really does. And nature likes to have people there. I'm sure when they're not clear cutting and fracking and doing horrible things, maybe I would have to rephrase that. But for the most part, we're the ones with thumbs. We're the ones that are supposed to help burn the landscape because the bugs are so intense. And if you burn the landscape, the bugs aren't as bad and they don't eat your food. And the basket materials and the foods are pliable and delicious and tender. And what are we without our planet? Yeah. There, I looked back up at the video again. That's our little donation sign. It says Winim Hornim Ni. And the last section was that of federal recognition. And we're still fighting the fight. I think that any one of those cards up on the wall in that timeline should be enough for someone to say, you're right. Here's your recognition back. And here's some land and your burial grounds. And wouldn't that be a good day?
Yes. So there it is, the movie. Have to confess, I was sitting in my living room by myself, like just cracking myself up over, some things that really aren't funny, but it's like I said before, it's so absurd. But I hope you enjoyed my share. I actually really liked it working that way, where I guess I felt like I was just talking to myself because I was, but I felt really free to just say what I wanted to say out of my head. I usually censor myself so much. And so I hope you guys thought some of at least that stuff I was cracking myself up about was kind of funny. I don't know. I'm not a comedian, but I think I am. So, but it's not a funny, it's not a funny topic. It's an absurd topic.
No, it makes sense sometimes to keep ourselves upright. Bringing the levity in is really important too. So I just want to say, Shelley, how much I appreciate getting to receive that it was such a big offering for you to even create that exhibit, to bring, the exhibit, to bring all of that together, to bring all that together and to have that available right here in the community. And it's such an offering. It connects us to the land so much, and then to get to now have this experience of you giving a tour, I'm excited for that, and get to have it educate me further. I've been giving some tours that people say, "Oh, you knew that, right?"
I knew that. I did. I knew that,
and that gets to just educate me further and how I am engaging those tours.
It's great, and one of the other. I know we're going to talk about fundraising here in one moment, but one other strange piece of all that is that those documents are just in our house. They're the things that, and they just sit around because my mom and my grandma, like some Native person, when the chips fall down and somebody's gonna get recognized, I heard a story that like old granny had 7 or 8 boxes of really important genealogical information in the top of their chicken coop. And the magic paper was in there somewhere. So we did some research for, some of the things, but what makes it so relevant and personal is because it's our documents. That's not just pulled off the internet somewhere. I mean, the social media stuff was around the boarding school. It's crazy that all these people are learning about it, and we've been the only ones to know this fact for a long time. So, but those papers are just laying about the house. David, Grandpa's brother died at Haskell, and maybe now that we have this Secretary of the Interior looking into the boarding school situation, there's a chance that I'm kind of doubtful. I assume they're all in unmarked. Probably mass graves. I don't know.
Well, and Shelley, what I got from it, at least in context to when I was around you doing the research, was because you're saying that you have those documents. It didn't need to be, all internet research, but that there was a lot of internet research, but it felt like that was more around you knowing
dates.
knowing something happened, but wanting a specific date or a specific quote, because of wherever that gives, in our culture, it gives a weight to it.
It's all that matters. And I mean, I'm not even going to go into the things that I think are funny right now because they're inundating my brain. But trying to find someone's quote or a date, something I did not realize. I knew that the gold that came from these hills funded and helped the wars. But I did not know I was going to find a quote from Ulysses S. Grant saying, "Oh my gosh, what would we have done without the gold from California? You're welcome, America." I just didn't know that. And then all the Civil War enthusiasts I know, I just can't wait to go tell them, dudes, you're reenacting stuff, but you're forgetting a piece. You're like, can you include us now? I'm just teasing, of course. But it was really something. But so enough about all that. You guys can watch it to your heart's desire if you want.
Or come in.
Or come in. Yeah. It's available. But we, this is a fundraiser. Tonight we set ourselves a $10,000 goal. And we have a $1,500 match, Yay! Which is totally awesome. And then my favorite thing is our chairman, Richard Johnson. I said, could I set up like a author meet and greet? Because he has his book, History of Us, which has been incredibly popular. And people are really wanting to speak with him. And so he said, for $250, we'll have a lunch or a dinner or something. And anybody who wants to, come and have a meet and greet, I'll give them a free book and sign it for them. And they can ask me and, we can talk and meet. So that's actually happening. I know we already got one communication from somebody saying $250. Yeah, I want to talk to him so bad. So thank you, Richard, for that. That's so super cool.
And how will people sign up for that part?
How will they? Well, I don't know. Well, I think we probably should ask him like when he's free.
Yeah, I think for people to know that if you do a $250 donation or more and your interest is to have the meet and greet with Richard, that we'll be in communication and make sure that we set up dates that work for people.
Absolutely.
And that works for Richard, first of all. He's
easy. He'll be like, sure, if I'm not busy. Yeah, he's great. But I thought that was really generous.
Can I throw in there, Shell?
Please.
That for those of you interested in Richard's book and don't know about it yet or where to get it, it is in the Ubaseyu Gallery in downtown Nevada City, also in CHIRP's online store, and you can also check it out of local libraries.
That's right. So tonight we sold tickets at varying ticket prices. 15, 25, and 35, I believe, is what we finally settled on. Because we want, I still have this desire that, like, you should get something, like, if you give somebody money. And these girls keep going, no, that's not what,
They get to feel good.
Yeah, right.
We get to feel good.
I'm like, but putting together the exhibit and doing, that video, it really took it out of me. And I hope if that's seen as some kind of, my contribution toward the evening, I hope it is, because it really knocked me out. I think I am blind, seriously, from staring at that editing screen for so long. But I also would really like to hear some feedback from people. We're so nervous that these topics, by saying people's names and calling out these moments, that people are going to get mad and like run us out of town or something. I don't know what the fear is. But for the most part, we've had really great feedback that people are reading all the way through the exhibit, and great feedback.
And appreciating. They are grateful. I mean, there's definitely heaviness. My experience of being in the gallery, there are tears at times, lots of questions. Aww. And what I'm left with overall, at least from what I've seen and heard expressed from people, is there's such a gratitude that there's a willingness to share so much, to put so much effort to bring this forward, and to be able to share it with us so that we can all have a better understanding of where we are.
Yeah, that's right. And so I hope so. It changed me a little bit. I just don't get like bummed out and like wiped out very often, and I beat around a bush, or I'll pad things, and I'm constantly editing in my mind before I say things. And I think a little bit of that is gone. And I'm like, if those dudes can just like wipe out whoever they want because of whatever, then I guess I can at least save everybody some time and speak a little more frankly. So I've been calling myself the new Frank Shelley. And I'm trying to be more communicative of our needs and our wants. Otherwise, I feel like we're wasting time, and none of us have that to waste. So with our fundraising goal tonight, $10,000, and there is the ask about that land. That land is not cheap. I it keeps coming to me, and obviously I'm being able to talk about it, but I think it's supposed to be ours, and I think it's supposed to be ours. So if anybody out there, wants to talk about ways, if you don't have 16 bags of money laying around your house and you have creative ideas, please. Sometimes the ideas are what just like ignites everything else on fire. Did you have anything you wanted to talk about fundraising?
Well, I had a curiosity actually, Shelley, in terms of the land, and the answer might be no right now, but is there, do you want to share again or anything you'd want to say about that? What you mean by that land and what that means to the tribe, potentially?
So there are currently 2 adjoining parcels for sale on Summit Hill Road within the boundaries of the old reservation. And we need to own a piece of the old reservation land. And it just so happens they're conjoining properties. They have homes on them, so they would instantly be occupied by tribal members. And we've got the Deer Creek land. It's very limited because of the conservation easements and the state money that it was paid for with. And that's not a place where we can all go build homes and live. And so this place, I think it's that place. And I don't say that because I hate putting my finger on something, because what if it's not? And then I'm like, it's all my fault. But it's been keeping me up at night. And some of my team is just stoked about this. And I take those cues very seriously.
And just to kind of reiterate what I've gotten from it, Shelley, is that there's the strong potential that owning land that is part of the original rancheria within those boundaries, that can potentially be a support in getting federal recognition restored as one point. Yeah. And then really beyond that, and probably even more important, is the ways that it benefits the general health and well-being of the tribal members who would benefit by being on land together and being in homes that would hold them well.
I'll just say that every time we have lost a head of family, an elder, everything fragments. I'm sure it happens in all families, but it fragments that much more. And when we lost I'm just fiddling with this. Please take this from me. When we lost my mom's oldest sister, Aunt Bertie, she really absolutely held her side of the family together. And I see with their passing, something's got to give somewhere. It really does. And I just hate sounding like that to myself, but it's true. It's just that, the people are not doing well. And I do think having a place to be that's ours would make a lot of difference. I really, really do. I think the health and the well-being of the little kids, I think they are supposed to be around their families. And, I have a big piece of the holding people together and trying anyway, the best that I can in my limited capacity. And I'm an only child, so I don't get all the levels of that stuff. Mom's got there's 6 girls in her family, but everybody's really tight, but I do see that fragmenting as the elders leave. And then, of course, I feel responsible because I'm older than them. And I want to help them. But I do think land is an absolute piece that's incredibly important right now.
Yeah, and I feel moved to say, Shelley, just for what I continue to learn in a deeper and deeper way whenever I'm in the gallery giving tours or hearing you tell stories, even if I've heard them before, which is that the Nisenan, their culture and the people are inextricably linked to the land. There's not a separation between the people and the land. That's how that culture works. And to be living in a time and still within this culture and being in your ancestral homeland still, but homelands that are so dissected, and then to be a landless tribe, to not have had land for so many decades.
Yeah, you know, there are so many layers, again, that just, maybe it's just getting old, I don't know. But something happened to me with my dance belt. And it has, you know, what we all know is a swastika now on it, but it's actually the four directions, it's a power symbol that, you know, who like stole it and took for his own. So it's a scary symbol to us today, of course. And I was explaining that it was on my dance belt, and it wasn't that. It was actually this. And a Jewish man who I have a lot of respect for, was upset about that. And he said, you know, that's so close for me and that's so real. And I don't need to walk downtown and see that symbol and then have somebody like, whoa, it's not that, you know, and like make it nice. And in all honesty, it's the first and only time that I think I saw somebody who I could go, imagine that with everything you see in this town. The streets you're named after, that you live on, the schools, everything. I mean, everything that you hold dear, gone, doesn't matter. And I'm not even kidding that was the first time I was, oh, wow, somebody maybe actually knows how this might feel. And as I get older, you know, I didn't think about this stuff when I was younger. And of course I am now. And I know it sounds like this, I mean, there's a lot of despair. It's just the way it is. And it's really serious. I don't know how else to say it. It's also the government's responsibility to uphold its promises and not break treaties and all those kind of things, which is also absurd. But who elects them? We do. So anyway,
Yeah,
you know, and I just feel like, God, I don't want to like lay all this out on the community and have people sitting at home crying or something. It's not fair and it's not right. And yet it is what it is. So,
well, I'm not fair and not right. And yet, after describing just some of the things that have happened and are still perpetuated today, like it's also a little funny to be in a fair and right conversation.
Well, let's jump out of that conversation.
Yeah, so
and let's talk about Mom Use, because that's a lot more fun.
I'm going to just say one more thing, and just in terms of fundraising, that given all that we just said, I actually feel like this leaves us with this place of having an opportunity right now as community members, and I stand in that as well as a non-Nisenan community member, that this is an opportunity for those of us who are able to support the Nisenan in getting land back. And you know, even in looking at this, that it's like, this is trying to raise funds so that CHIRP can buy land. It's, you know, and if somebody has other ideas or possibilities, that's awesome. Let's go that route. But here we all could actually weave together as a community and be making donations that are accessible to us and supporting this shift in culture happening to do some sort of repair work for what's happened and just continued on for so many decades.
Right. Or if you know the president and he could just give us another presidential executive order, that also works. If you just, again, like have sacks of money laying around and you need to get rid of it, also helpful right here, me, Shelley Covert. Send it over. It'll be gone and used, and hooray.
Yeah. So thanks to those who have donated. Oh, yeah.
Major donors. We have one. We've yet to fully understand that whole thing. And bequeathals, we have two people who are bequeathing their properties to us. And they're very young people, so I hope that nothing happens to them. That's just bad luck to me. Anyway, but we're going to be quiet about money.
Yes.
And pain and suffering is our right now, and we're going to hear our lovely Mom Muse. I hope you guys enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy the beauty of Mom Muse, who is definitely friends of CHIRP, friends of Shelley and I, and we've so appreciated their contributions in the past and really excited to receive their contribution right now.
Hello. Hello, hello, hello. So good to be here. Oh, my heart bone is ringing to be here. Thank you, Shelley. Thank you, Ember, for inviting us to be a part of this beautiful day, this Heritage Celebration Day, this Giving Thanks Day. Thank you.
It's truly an honor, and we just want to take a moment to introduce ourselves. I'm Sarah.
I'm Carisha.
And to introduce you to this place where we are. We're in this beautiful earthen temple that's situated on Pomo lands, coastal Miwok lands,
Wapo people's ancestral homelands. What's now known as Sebastopol, California.
So we're going to share some music with you all. We were just saying before we began that feels like this music sharing, this music making is the one sane thing right now.
Thank you for inviting us in to some sanity.
So it's an honor to share.
We invite you to just sit back and enjoy, or jump up and dance, or whatever is moving you. Weep it out, whatever's got to happen. We're here. We can't do this alone. Ooh, we're leaning in. We're leaning in. That's a newer song called Love Is.
We've been working on an EP this last year, and it's so close to being done.
Oh.
I'll be so happy to share it with you soon.
Send us that last bit of magic to move it through this beautiful birth canal, this portal of between where it's living now and when it will live in all of our hearts and out in the world way.
This next song is called Funk, Fire, and Friction.
Take the funk and the fire and friction, transform it all in me. I am my own magician, making magic with my heartbeat. I see beauty all around me. I am blessed with all of this. I know pain and I know suffering. Human I am, and I'm loving this life as it is. Loving this life as it is. Loving this life as it is. Receive the fullness, give what's mine to give. Receive the fullness, give what's mine to give. Breathe me open, I am opening, season me with time. Pure devotion moves through me, a heart present and kind. And one day at a time is all that I can live. I'm learning as I go, growing each moment. And I'm loving this life as it is. Sing along with it. Loving this life as it is. Loving this life as it is. Receive the fullness, give what's mine to give. Receive the fullness, give what's mine to give. I will move with my own conviction. Let spirit take my hands. I'm on an interstellar mission to love who I am. So let the funk come find me in all my resistance. I will not turn away. No, I will get down and dance. Loving this life as it is. Loving this life as it is. Loving this life as it is. Receive the fullness, give what's mine to give. Receive the fullness, give what's mine to give. Take the funk and the fire and friction, transform it all in me. I am my own magician, making magic with my heartbeat. I love that. I am my own magician, making magic with my heartbeat. And I just am in this with you, Sarah, just feeling like we are each other's magicians, and in our giving to one another, in our reciprocity, and in our continued pouring our lives into each other's lives and receiving the pouring of each other's lives, we get so filled up, and so much can happen. I'm feeling it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. That's another newer song. This
Sarah Sweetie says, sounds like we got roller skates on, or like we should put our roller skates on for this song. So if you have roller skates and you're in your kitchen or something, there you go, put them on.
Rollerblades work too.
Yeah, I suppose. It does have sort of a 70s or 80s feel. Rollerblades, yeah, you could do that. You ready? Mm-hmm. 1, 2,
Shelly, you were in there while I was singing. I was having a dialogue with you. And I was sitting in front of you and you're asking me, well, why are you doing this? I remember it was a question that you asked us last year. Why are you here? And I was just answering through the song of like, this could be beautiful, this weaving, this collaboration, this getting to know each other through our love of place of the Nisenan tribe, place of just the ethereal place of the heart. So yeah, it's hard to put words to, but I just want to thank you again for giving this opportunity to share and be with you.
This next song is a song that was commissioned. We did a bunch of spontaneous songs a few years back in response to people's prayers for songs for people in their lives, in response to our need for funds to help us lift up a CD project we were doing with our last album. And so in our ask for support, we were like, hey, we would love to share songs with you and your loved ones. And people reached to us and wanted songs for people who had passed and people who they were hoping would be born, and their children and their pets, and just beautiful smattering of all different kinds of things came to us. And this is a song that's called Wild for Sienna that Sarah wrote for a young gal named Sienna down in the Chico area that is family with one of her dearest mentors. And yeah, this is a song to our wild nature, to the young one in us that just is like the bucking bronco, the wild spirit, the North Star in us that knows what it knows and is connected to the land and is just, yeah, to our wild ones. So. You in here? Yeah, come on in.
You've got spirit, child, wild
Ooh, Shelly, I was thinking about you playing bass on that one.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you're a bass player. You're a bass player. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This next song is called Wonder, and it came through on the winter solstice some years ago. And just a song that came through in that really rainy, wet, cold winter. Seemed like there wasn't much light coming through, and then that day there was some beautiful light coming through the trees and symbolized a lot of new beginnings. And I feel like we are in the times of uncertainty and what's to come from all this mess and all this, all of this heartbreak. So we sing that question.
Ooh, I wonder. Oh, I wonder. Ooh, I wonder what is to come out of this dark. Ooh, I wonder. Oh, I wonder. Ooh, I wonder what's to come out of this dark. I've been moving through the dark, moving through the dark, moving through the darkness. I wonder where the light is, cracking open, singing. Ooh, I wonder. Oh, how I am filled with wonder. I wonder what is to come out of this darkness. I don't this candle has gone out. I don't this candle has gone out. I don't this candle has gone out. But today, I can see there's still love flickering. Ooh, I wonder. Oh, I am filled with wonder. I wonder what is to come out of this darkness. Burning on me. I'm burning on you. Burning like a bright light. I'm burning on me. Oh, this light's still burning. I'm burning bright. This candle has gone out. This candle has gone out. This candle has gone out. But today I can see there's more than a flickering.
let it go unnamed that we were playing an instrument here known as a double chaser, umkaka. It's an instrument from the Philippines that our friend Renee recorded with us on last album, recorded with this instrument. So I want to give thanks and recognition.
Yeah, somehow in that song I just am feeling, I am just feeling it. I'm just feeling like what we create together in this time, and all of this contrast and hell and heaven and holiness, and what do we do together and what do we do separately? What do we weave out of this? What do we carve out of this? What do we cut away from all of this? How do we be with and have no answer? I'm just like filled with possibilities and images of weaving and artfulness and hands making and hearts loving. This next song is called Dunk Down, and it came to us in the beautiful Yuba River. At the end of a hot, hot day, and a last toe dip in brought the song down the river through to us. You sing above me or below me in this one?
Above you.
Okay, so I'm going to start it kind of low. Okay, we got to get these things right. I'm gonna dunk down, down into the river. Gonna dunk down all the way down, singing. Dunk down, down into the river. Gonna let it go all the way down, singing. Oh Lord, here I go, letting go. Oh Lord, here I go, letting go. Oh Lord, here I go, letting go all the way down. Letting go all the way down. Dunk down, down into the river. Gonna dunk down all the way down, singing. Dunk down, down into the river. Gonna let it go all the way down, singing. Oh Lord, here I go, letting go. Oh Lord, here I go, letting go. Oh Lord, here I go, letting go all the way down. Let it go all the way down. River, river, free and wide. All these knots are coming untied. River, river, you humble me. Here I come, come wash me clean. I'm gonna dunk down, down into the river. Gonna dunk down all the way down, singing. Dunk down, down into the river. Gonna let it go all the way down, singing. Oh Lord, here I go, letting go. Oh Lord, here I go, letting go. Oh Lord, here I go, letting go all the way down. Letting go all the way down. River, river, wild and free, in thy service help me be. River, river, drink me in. I am ready to begin. Hey! Dunk down, down into the river. Gonna dunk down all the way down, singing. Dunk down, down into the river. Gonna let it go all the way down, singing. Oh Lord, here I go, letting go. Oh Lord, here I go, letting go. Oh Lord, here I go, letting go all the way down. Letting go all the way down. Letting go all the way down.
Ooh, that felt good. I needed that dunk in the water. Thank you, song, for helping me to be more in my body. Thank you.
I give so much thanks to all the places that we go that hold the spirit of these songs, I know first languages are coming directly from the earth, mostly as you ask. The people of the place, the language and the place are like the same. They are the same. They are the same. You're speaking the land when you speak the native tongue, and I feel like such a gift to receive that song and sing that place. And even though it's in a foreign tongue, there's some bit of that place that felt like it shared itself with us, and I just feel so grateful. I feel so grateful to be able to have those heart ears and that the capacity to be able to sing forth. It is such a beautiful gift. It's such a beautiful gift to be in reciprocity in that way with the land. And it doesn't go unnoticed, and I'm not missing that often the songs that come through us are gifts, it feels like, directly from the land. So thank you so much. Yeah, crystal waters and those smooth rocks and places to perch in the hot sun and cool off again. And yeah. Right. Well, we think one more song here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
Again, thank you so much for having us here, for inviting us to be able to weave and be a part of this life with you all, to be in reciprocity with one another, to learn to reach for each other and begin to know each other and build a relationship. It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous thing to be able to reach towards each other in this way. Yeah.
And for those of you out there listening that feel moved to give as part of your reciprocity for this receiving of this program today, we invite you to do so, and knowing that those funds will be used for some of the most important work right now, which is sharing this work of the Nisenan tribe and sharing the history, sharing what's current, what's beautiful, what's alive here. So please do give as you can.
This last song is a new song. It's a song that comes through the voices of the part, we started singing this song and it felt like we were singing two different songs, and it was like, how is this going to work out? There's one voice that was like, how is this going to work out? And the other voice was like, don't you see? Don't you see what's here? Notice what's here. Kind of the bigger perspective voice and the freaked out for what is happening in present time voice. And so this song is called Waking Time, and it's just it's a voicing of the full spectrum of the experience right now, and we hope you love it. We love you. Thanks for being with us here today. I feel so filled up. Even though I can't see your faces, I can feel you. I can honestly feel you. Do this thing. How we gonna
I surrender, I rebel. I'm in heaven, I'm in hell. Here we go round again. I'm so glad you're here with me, my friend. I'm so glad you're here, my friend. Did you notice? Can't you see? There is life here for you and me. Are you surprised? Find out for yourself, although it's a mighty steep climb. That often things will change right in our Find out for yourself and then everything will change right before our eyes.
Open our eyes to how we may be of more service to one another, to have our lives blooming. May we pour our whole lives into each other and into the places where we live and the places where we're from, forwards and backwards in time, until health is sprouting and beaming and blooming, and we are caring and tending for one another in the best ways we know how. We send so much love to all of you. Thank you again for having us here.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
so great.
That was so great. Rejuvenation.
Thank you so much. So kind. Thank you so much for giving us that awesomeness. That was so great. And we were so close to them, even closer than when they were live, because they're on a big TV over here, and we were like inches from them. It was awesome.
Oh, hope you all received like some real nourishment and joy from that, as we definitely did here.
Yeah, that was great. So I guess we're starting to wind down here, Ember.
Yeah, but there's important things to share still.
There are some things. Yeah, definitely. There's some things. That river they were talking about, Uba. It's got so much music. If you can hear it, it's incredible. And it'll also suck you in and try to drown you, but one or the other, usually. There's so many old stories that probably not good luck to share some of them, because anyway, you guys don't want to know about that anyway. I'm not listening. That river, like the only thing in the entire territory that has its Nisenan name still. Uba. I can't do it right. Uba.
At least that we all acknowledge.
Well, sure.
Right.
They may still have all their original names. They probably do. Yeah. So we were going to, one thing I did want to bring up is, I don't know if you've noticed, there's a new mural going up. It's probably almost all the way up, or on, however a mural does. Nikila Badua.
Yeah.
And it is featuring one of our tribal members, Jenny Plunkett, and she's looking incredible in the mural. Yeah, it's another one of those things that I see it, and sometimes I just don't believe it. It's like, wow, is that really happening? It really is happening.
Where is it?
Oh, it's in Grass Valley. It's on the back of the Tri-Counties Bank, right there on, where all the banks are.
Neal Street, maybe?
Probably. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, it's incredible. And also, I wanted to tell you to remind me, but I reminded myself. Yes. Nikila, speaking of Nikila and I were invited to provide some art for the Sacramento Kings game. When was that?
On Wednesday night. It was their honoring of Native American Heritage Night.
Mm-hmm. And they put our art up on their huge billboards. And so I'm thinking because it's only up till tomorrow. I'm thinking I'm going to drive down there tonight and see it at night. Well, there's probably nobody there. And I just have to see it. They're so huge.
Yeah, we only saw pictures on Instagram stories, and it looked
wasn't the same.
really amazing.
So what else were we going to talk about?
You wanted to share about Wild and Scenic.
Right. So, and again, with the Yuba River and all its music, I did a soundtrack for a girl who is doing a film piece here. And somehow, because she is who she is, she started shifting her whole film because she's like, this story is just too amazing. Like, it can't be about me swimming around the river. And so anyway, somehow it's all shifted, and the piece is now actually talking about the missing voice of the Nisenan and her like getting in the water and swimming and stopping to listen. And then the river's telling her our story. And it's really, really awesome. And so the film was accepted to Wild and Scenic coming up. And we're going to feature it in our Ubaseu space. They're actually building a little theater in the back, a little curved screen theater. So you can sit in and sort of be encompassed by the screen, surround sound, so you can be encompassed by my beautiful voice. Yet again.
It's true.
But it's going to be awesome. So I hope you come by. It's going to be an experience. Like you get down low, kind of, and be in the river.
And the grand opening, the opening night of Wild and Scenic is actually happening in the Ubaseu Gallery.
Is it for sure?
Yes. They've accepted and said, yeah, that's so
that's
great.
cool.
Let's do it. Yes.
That's
the
awesome.
opening night will happen there. That's, again, at 225 Broad Street in Nevada City.
Awesome.
And then we'll have the film there. And the intention is, because the current exhibit up, Erased, is really potent. And you've heard us talk about how much effort went into that exhibit. And I'm just going to say it, and how much pain really went into that exhibit. So really, and it's such an important, it's such an important, complex thing for us to all be able to take in, and hopefully more than one time. So that exhibit will be up through the end of December. Once the film comes in, things will change shape a little bit in Ubaseu, but we're hoping to keep as much of Erased intact as possible. And we're actually encouraging Shelley in the gallery, like, leave that timeline permanent. Like, let's let that be an entryway into all exhibits in the future.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know how much time I can spend in there with that stuff, though. I don't know. Sure. Yeah, it's great because the lyrics of the song for the film, the girl flew her recording guy out from London. He's a friend of hers, and they're so good. Anyway, but the story is in Nisenan, so it's all in Nisenan language. And the words of the song are really, we were going to do an exhibit around the film and the song, and now there's already one there. So I thought that was pretty handy.
You did all the work ahead of time. Isn't that how you usually operate? That's how you operate.
Always. So busy. Yeah. What else?
Oh, well, I guess for those of you who don't know, the gallery space is open Thursdays through Sundays from 1 to 6 and Monday from 1 to 5. And I wanted to just share that because I realized that there might have been confusion. We are offering tours at times, which are free. And I've actually had a couple people ask me now, can you come in without a tour? And the answer is yes. You can come in anytime during open hours. But if you want to have a tour, then you can check our CHIRP website, go to the Ubaseu page and look for when tours are happening. And we're kind of just scheduling those out a week at a time, but they'll keep happening throughout the life of the exhibit.
And I will be offering some VIP tours. I was thinking a little maybe something yummy to drink after hours, maybe a little something yummy to eat. And
you get Shelley.
Oh, joy. Yeah.
Yes.
Her again.
Yes.
No, but I've had some interest, so, I think that'll be fun. Yeah. I think so.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I will go. I've been to the tour, and I'm going to go.
You guys are so silly and crazy. I love it. So, let's see. We talked about land. We have curriculum in the building. Not in the building, being built. Talking about putting together an early childhood center with some of the local early childhood folks. that's actually where the first bling of the word facilities came up, because they were saying there's funding and you want to do this anyway. The people that know more than I do to give the idea, the big idea that probably has those extra zeros on it that I'll freak out about. The Deer Creek Tribute Trail is going to be across the Deer Creek property soon, so we're going to have interpretive signage there. What else?
Federal recognition. Talked about that a little.
I'm sure somebody heard it tonight, and that's all getting sorted out. I'm certain of it.
Somebody's putting that name on the list. That's all that's got to happen. Just type it up.
Just put it on there. It's not.
Yeah.
Censor yourself, Shelley. It's not funny. What else? Tell me what else we have. I know we have thousands of things going on.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you're covering...
Nevada City Raffle? That's cool.
Oh, yeah. I can speak to it a little. Yeah, it's great. Some of the merchants in downtown Nevada City through chamber created meetings, I think is what it is. Yeah. There have been some merchants who've decided to take on putting a raffle together with permissions, which was awesome. So the merchants themselves are bringing together items, selling raffle tickets, and all of the proceeds from that will go to CHIRP. And
you don't have to do anything.
And I don't have to do anything. I mean, I usually love going around, actually.
You almost cried when they told you that. She was like, oh.
I mean, it's one of those places where, like, when we see how we can actually offer something, and it's something that's wanted and appreciated, and that we can do it without it creating an extra burden on the tribe or on CHIRP. Like, I just think that's so awesome. And personally, I actually love going into the businesses and connecting, and I don't mind asking for donations. And to know that a group of people said, hey, we can do this, let us just do this. And that was their own idea. I think that more and more of that is needed, and just like experiencing that as a model. And we've had some of that, like with the Ancestral Homelands Reciprocity Program, businesses finding their own unique ways to participate in the program that is really appreciated by CHIRP, but also isn't feeling like a burden to them. Like, it's a way they can participate, have it feel good, and not have it feel too heavy for them either. So I think that's huge, like finding the way that we can all say, like, you're carrying too many sticks, let me take a few. I can carry a few.
I think that's the only way something this erased and this big and this ridiculous can actually change. Like, for real. And the animal situation and all the stuff, right, it's got to be all of us. And my favorite thing, because I don't care if somebody's a Democrat or a Republican or whatever, I love, in high school, I hung out with the Aggies and the Jocks and the choir people and the Stoners. And I love it because I like people. And it's about finding those commonalities. I think we're getting close here, but something that I think it's like when I was getting a perspective, reading all that old stuff, it helped me to realize where we are. At least we're not over there, At the very least, it's not like that. Nobody's being chased down in our streets with a gun. That I'm aware of anyway. It's not a common thing that's going to end up in the paper like, no big deal. And I know that our struggles are real for whatever it is that we're fighting for. It's just so important not to lose perspective of, if you look out the door right now, everything's pretty hunky-dory. It might all be a set or a facade, I'm not sure. And
there's
if it
definitely
is,
some of that.
maybe, created in the Hollywood basement somewhere, I don't know. But for the most part, I can say that we're all kind of okay. I know granted we're in the middle of a pandemic and all that, but really, like, the violence, like, we're not being chased. Maybe I should just speak from the tribe's perspective, is that we're not being chased now like then.
Not in the same ways, anyhow.
Well, I haven't been chased.
No.
I've never been chased. No, I haven't been chased.
Yeah.
I think it's just sometimes we need a spot of comparison to make sure that, looking where we are in the world, to make sure, because I think it's just Facebook, maybe. Like the world isn't that bad necessarily, and then there's Facebook that makes you think, what's going, everything's falling off the edge. But we're a small community, and we were raised not to talk about religion or politics, like ever, outside of the house, right? That's how I don't know. I wish there was just a little bit, sometimes more of that old way, the good sides of the old way that had us like honoring each other or respecting something about somebody. I feel like maybe that's Facebook too. I don't know. My own father just got out of Facebook jail. He came in and said something and he goes, well, I can't post because I'm in Facebook jail. And my husband and I just went, like, what did you do? That's fine too, Dad. But yeah, we're a small community. Let's be good to one another wherever you live. If you're not from here, who are the native people's lands where you are? And please take our message with you because it is like other tribes, and it's not. Some things are very different, of course, but we need everybody's that twinkly thought in your eye. Maybe somebody in Texas out there knows the president and you can help get us a federal, acknowledgement. I just think the world is getting smaller day by day, and it's so important just to care. That's my own message. That's the way I tried my very best to navigate myself. And I honestly put all of myself into this work. And I wasn't supposed to be that kind of girl. I was supposed to play in a band. I was a flake, and I didn't do anything ever. I had no responsibilities. And now, this is what I do. It's important to me because I could probably just move away, I guess,
I don't know. I'm not sure what that would change, right? To throw in there too, Shelley, when you're talking about whose lands are you on, whoever's watching, listening right now, that what I've taken in more and more over time too, it's not just whose lands am I on right now, like where am I living, but it's where am I living, where am I working, where am I visiting? Because anytime within any of those things, I'm benefiting from all that went in before I was in that place, or I am in this place, that those lands are ancestral homelands to somebody, and I'm benefiting from them. And my well-being also relies on the well-being of others, and vice versa. And so even if I don't live in a place, if I'm visiting, to know that it does matter how people are doing there as well. And so if you're watching and not from Nisenan lands, that it matters how the Nisenan are doing wherever you are.
Yes, and those girls, they've showed up how many times for us now? And I hope they know that if they ever need something or need somebody, they can call me. That truly is the way I work, and I keep track of everything, all favors, because that's supposed to be equal in our culture. That's very equal. The give-take thing, totally equal, and everybody keeps track of everything. And that's very real, and I truly feel that way. And any donations you guys give tonight, just know that, I certainly wouldn't be asking and doing this work if it wasn't needed. Is that so horrible to say? I get joy from this work, but it really is because there's the need. I just always think there could be a better person there doing it, smarter, richer, or something, I don't know. And that we're all stuck with me sometimes, whatever. That's a whole Shelley thing.
That part I think is ridiculous.
Well,
stuck
seriously.
with you. But I do understand that you wouldn't be doing this work, because why would you if your culture hadn't been decimated in the way that it was, or the population? Of course not. You'd be doing something probably much more expansive.
That's a good point. All right. Well, so I should have more joy in my work and not cry all the time. Just kidding. But please come to the gallery, check out the exhibit. Ask me anything you want to ask. I am not afraid of straightforward questions. Nobody's getting pointed at and like blamed for anything. And it's a conversation we all need to be having about so many things in the country today. And we're a community. And it is Nisenan Heritage Day. And to all my family, I know so many of the tribal members are here tonight, and I'm really excited about that. I wish you were here in person making me tacos. And yeah, that's it. It's 8:01. It is time. It is time to say goodbye.
Thank you, Shelley. Thank you for putting this together and finding a way to have the 12th annual Nisenan Heritage Day, even in some new shape and form. And
it's a different shape.
It's a different shape. And I want to throw out there one more time, like just an appreciation for all the donations that have been made.
Oh yeah, thank you.
And if you're able, please do. Please find that way to donate, if not now, when it feels right for you. And
if you own that land up there that I'm talking about on Cement Hill and you hate it, now's your chance to get rid of it. So
yes. People would like to have that.
All right. So anything else you need? Nisenan.org. Our year-end, that letter thing that everybody sends out at the end of the year will be coming to you sometime before the end of the year as well. So we'll be hitting you again for your hard-earned cash at some point before the end of the year. So thank you very much. Thanks to the center. Thanks to our techies. Yay. You guys made it really pleasant as always. So thanks to Mom Muse.
It was good to be with you, Shelley, and with all of you.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. That's a wrap. Good night.